Okie dokie. Let's see if we can redeem ourselves after savage beats last round. I'd love to play first, and this is a bunch of Izzet signets and a Through the Breach. So this is not the Eldrazi that we want, but it's the Eldrazi we deserve in this situation. And it certainly might be good enough depending on what they're playing. And by good enough, I mean put them in a position where we can cobble together something else to finish them off and not just die to whatever it is they're doing. A Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter Affinity. This feels like it should be the worst matchup I've ever seen. For me, that is. I liked it not to put in a whole lot of affinity hate cards, since it's a pretty miserable matchup as is. Double blues hard enough, double reds even slightly harder to acquire in a timely fashion for something like Shatterstorm. Hurkyl's Recall only really works if you're Merfolk or some other similarly aggressive deck that you can actually put them away after just bouncing all of their permanents. Whereas here I would probably bounce all their permanents, hit them for 15, then they wouldn't die, and then they would replay their permanents, and nothing much would have been achieved. So we can certainly try and mise them with Pyroclasm in game 2. And some, Spell Pierces and Spell Mayors are useful, but the opponent arrived, and we have nothing but signets to play. So that makes our choices very simple this game, and we need to hope that they don't do anything too mean to us. Steel Overseer's somewhat scary. It means whatever gets left over after Through the Breach will be quite tough. Just gonna slap them all out there. And I suppose all we really want to draw now is in the Emrakul. So we can Emrakul and then Kozilek. Now they might be afraid that we might get full Tron. Or they might not be and spend all their mana this turn and kill me. I haven't done the math to make sure that's possible. But it always feels like it's going to happen, doesn't it? I'll take 6, it looks like. Unfortunately, Electrolyze is a bit on the late side now also. Electrolyze would have been just incredible if we draw in that. So, I mean, our Affinity matchup isn't honestly that bad when we're on the play and we draw one of our interactive pieces, since we can usually reduce their permanents quite low and then not die. I don't know what's happening here though. Kozilek-ing them for 4 permanents isn't going to be super. I get if we draw an Urza's Tower, which is another live draw. No, Urza's Power Plant is a reasonably live draw, because we can just cast Kozilek, draw 4 cards, put a roadblock in a way, which might not do it. Let's see. Doesn't matter, so no point in wasting the energy to count it, because we could have blocked this. And I think we would have survived. But instead, we're casting this with low expectations. So we just do this, make them makes a few choices of things to keep, and then hope we draw something relevant next turn. The relevant cards are on the low side, I'm afraid. I'll point out at this point though that Kozilek is roughly even to old Ulamog in this situation, since it's annihilating 4 is the only relevant part. New Ulamog could have been much worse since it wouldn't have done any annihilating. And exiling 20 cards isn't gonna matter this game. Okay. Well, hopefully they do not do anything too bad to me this turn. We should have a couple of turns. Assuming they don't have a lot in reserve. And if we draw something like a lightning bolt, then we can hold on a little bit longer. Opponent seems to be AFK again. Time to get out the editing scissors. Oakley dokley. We came back, our opponent just activated Overseer and attacked for 3 and ghost scored us. Which honestly is not a big deal since we don't have anything to do with Tron enemy. That's a brick. In actuality, it was slightly raising our chances of drawing a relevant card. But we're still very low on outs here, since they're going to have a pair of 4/4s attacking next turn. And we're just dead. Well, we did not get there, unfortunately. Check how far away we were. And very far. Very, 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 very far. So what we are doing instead are we getting these pyroclasms in. We're on the play, so Remand isn't the absolute worst. We sort of don't have time to mess around with these mana things too much. We want to get these lightning bolts in too. And I think that's just about it, to be honest. I think probably Keranos is better than Epiphany if we're on the play. It's like we have a chance of winning like a sort of real game, so to speak, where we just play some removal spells and play a Keranos. Like that's an actual out. Oh dear, this hand has lands in it, which are nice. There's a breach in it, which is useful, like the appropriate amount of lands. Snapcaster, if we were to draw a good card, but we don't have any bolts or pyroclasms or even spell snares or anything like that, so we have to mulligan it. This hand does have good cards. It doesn't have a red source. I think we are going to keep it since we've got Scry. We can look for it a bit because bolt into Snapcaster, bolt or electrolyze, or bolt electrolyze, Snapcaster electrolyze would all be just great stuff. You need to get a bit lucky to get there, I'm afraid. Seems to be a trend with this deck. Ooh, on top. Thank you. Oh, almost. Almost did it. Almost F6'd. I didn't know. Then that's all that matters. Alright, the shock. I don't think we want to lightning bolt any of these guys. Especially not Vault Scourge, since we want to get our value from Electrolyze. Hopefully they play another 1-1. Okay, that's nice. And another Vault Scourge. Well, given that they are on mono Vault Scourges, and we do want something in our graveyard, like we still have access to Lightning Bolt if we need it. So now that they played 2 more Vault Scourges, I'm gonna bolt this one. Follow up by electrolyzing these things. I probably want to do it main phase. Play around, like, because there's all sorts of things, like people bring in spell pierces and things like that against decks like this. Like you never quite know what's going on in the Affinity sideboard. This looks okay. So this is what I mean about being able to like reduce their permanent number. So when you cast Izzet-Breach, even though it's often not actually lethal. Master of Ethereum. That is a very small Master of Ethereum, small enough to be snap bolted. So if I play this land, and then I can play Izzet Signet, and then still snap bolt. And I'm definitely doing that. I obviously would have loved to have the luxury of snap electrolyzing, since that's just decent, so it's great value. But I don't think that is especially wise. Isn't wise to hold on, since, you know, like if they just untap, they draw Darksteel Citadel, then Blinkmoth Nexus lets them put their guy out of bolt range forever. So I'm doing it now. This is not the speediest beatdown, so again we're putting ourselves in a position where we have lots of good draws. We've got a bunch of cantrips in our deck. You know, obviously something like Compulsive Research would be good now, which is important to note when we're talking about, you know, ways we can make this deck better. Lightning Bolt, that's okay with me. And we might as well get stuck in with Snapcaster since it can't block anyway. And if their turn is a repeat of the last turn, we can cast this Lightning Bolt. Do we cast it on the Ornithopter or the Nexus? I think it's going to be the Ornithopter. The Nexus requires a certain amount of mana upkeep, which makes it a little bit awkward to use alongside Seagate Wreckage. You know, if they're intending to attack me and other stuff as they go along. And it is slightly easier to electrolyze. This is not very useful, I'm afraid. I'm just going to attack. I mean, we are slightly threatening them with this Snapcaster Mage. I think it's plausible that they might spew off a Ghost Quarter if I go get something good. Again, that's not actually harming what's going on in my hand anyway. Since I need an Emrakul, or some electrolyzers or something along those lines. All the cards I mostly care about casting, I can cast them, so seems like they've made their choice between activating Seagate Wreckage and doing this thing. Well, I say made their choice because clearly they just can't get rid of this card. I can't imagine what this would be unless it is something like a Spell Pierce, like I mentioned earlier. Since they do have actual cards requiring blue mana in their deck, so it makes sense that there may be some more. It could also be like a Galvanic Blast. They're trying real hard to get me with. Deal. Let them attack just so that they can't use the mana on anything. Not that I can think of anything that they would be casting the mana with. Casting using the mana, rather. Taste it. It's a Galvanic Blast. That makes sense. And Urza's Tower. So they're Hellbent. I am basically Hellbent. But I have a Snapcaster Mage and a sort of Russian roulette thing going on where I'm going to end up eventually dying because this is a brick, but eventually I might draw something good with it. Unfortunately, the Hellbent thing is less great for me since they do have a Seagate Wreckage. On the plus side, Affinity does have a lot of cards that really don't do very much. That is a card that does something, unfortunately for me. It doesn't fly though. It's happening again. So let's see, they have 1, 2, 3, so they can attack me for 4. But if I attack here, then it puts them dead to Lightning Bolt. Or Snapcaster, since I have a bolt in my graveyard. Master of Ethereum. Well, that was a good one, unfortunately for me. Needed that not to be... Well, I guess, obviously they could have like a plating, another plating like a Ravager or this guy. But it also could easily have been Springleaf Drum or something like that. So, we were very close to winning the game for multiple turns. But that's what happens when you make your game likely to win the game, or have the opportunity to win the game, but not actually necessarily always win the game.